My name is Terri Keplinger, and I'm from Johnson City, Tennessee, and I am a patient. I was diagnosed June 15th of 2021. It took me probably a year and a half to accept that I had a disease. I had never been sick in my life, and I started swelling pretty bad. About 50 pounds of fluid later, I couldn't mow my yard, and I was used to mowing my yard. I couldn't walk from my car to the front door of my workplace, which I was the manager of. A customer actually looked at me. She said, "I just want you to know I'm a nurse and you have something really, really wrong with you." And I kind of shrugged it off, and my family begged me to go to the doctor, and I just had never been sick. So I didn't think that there was really, truly a whole lot wrong with me that I couldn't fix myself. So for about a year and a half, things just kept getting worse and worse. And finally, my family said, if you don't call the cardiologist, he was our friend, they said, if you don't call him and get an appointment to see what's wrong with you, we're going to take you ourselves. So I ended up giving him a call. I went to see him, and the next day he called my work and he said, meet me at the emergency room within 2 hours. And I said, okay. He said, we'll talk about it when you get there. I got there before him, and the nurses were like, why are you here? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. My cardiologist said to meet him here, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So about 7 doctors started filtering in to try to figure out what was going on with me. And finally, my specialist from Knoxville had come in. He said, oh, she has pulmonary hypertension. I had no earthly idea what that was, what that meant. I thought it was a joke. I thought they were all kidding. And it was a horrible practical joke, to be honest with you. So 4 days later, I get out of the hospital, and, they give me these list of things that I need to do and all these medications. And I've never taken any medicine in my life. It was all just really new. And so I was a gymnast growing up and hiker, avid outdoors person. And, they're telling me not to do a whole lot. It was just surreal. I couldn't wrap my head around any of it. So fast forward about 6 months, and I decided I needed a second opinion. So I go to Cleveland Clinic, and same thing, 10 days in the hospital there and numerous tests. And they're like, you have pulmonary arterial hypertension. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't accept the fact that was what was going on in my body. So I come back to Tennessee and I go back to work. And in the meantime, my owners had asked me to step down from my manager position because they knew I would just die at the counter. So I was brokenhearted about everything. And the doctors had said, don't Google it. So I didn't do any research. And I'm just blindly going through the motions of just taking the medicine and trying to keep these symptoms down from this disease that I have that I don't even know anything about. I get back from Cleveland and I need some more medicine. And I ended up calling my original specialist, whom I deemed that I needed a second opinion from because I just didn't believe anybody. And so I called him and I just apologized. I was like, look, I'm really sorry. He goes, I don't know how you feel. He said, I couldn't imagine what you're going through right now. So we'll just, forget everything from the past and we'll just move forward. And he had put a seed in my head about the support group because he is 2 hours away in Knoxville, and he didn't have the means to have the support group here. So he had tried to make a huge support group between Knoxville and Johnson City area. And he had just been such an awesome doctor. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to do this. Let's just do this. I don't know anybody with this. I would love to talk to somebody that actually has this issue. And so that's how I became a support group leader. He had just mentioned that there was a lot of people in the area that he wanted to reach out to, but just didn't have the means. And so I said, you know what? I think I can do that. And so I started the support group here in the area, and we don't have many people, which is good. It's definitely given me a lot of different things, to be honest with you. Not only the friendship, but the camaraderie, the support. It's been life-changing to accept this and start to move forward in how can I help others. I've not ever been one to take care of myself. So to have to spend every day thinking about me, it's different. It's different. I feel selfish a lot, but having the support group and helping with people who have this, it's really helped keep me going. I've never had to deal with any sort of illness, and then to be smacked with this kind of illness, it was like hitting a brick wall. I have a guy that I knew from high school, and we got together about 2 years before I was diagnosed. And he has been an absolute rock. I know he was put in my life for a reason. I used to question, why would this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Well, now I know. It was all just to lay the foundation for everything to happen up to now. It's actually been really crazy. I didn't know why I had my children young. Why did my daughter have her children young? Well, because I had to get sick later. I'm at least well enough now that I can play with them and love them. My children are amazing. I have 2 kids and I'm very close with my family. They have been everything for me. I wouldn't be who we're at now if it weren't for them. I just recently had to quit. I had taken over a store that was going bankrupt, and I had built that up to a profitable store. It was my baby, basically. I was there all the time. I was working my hind end off. And at first, I didn't think that it was out of love and concern from them. But later on, I realized that it was because I was just so angry. But they asked me to step down out of concern for my health because it's a very stressful job. And they knew I loved it. And they knew that I wouldn't step down otherwise. Again, there, I got to go back to my original store and work with a gentleman who helped save my life as well. I'll never forget those guys. They really cared. They didn't want anything to happen to me. So they let me continue to work, but in an environment that if I needed to leave, they let me come and go as I pleased. If my body let me do 3 hours of work that day, then I could. If it didn't, I didn't have to. So it was amazing for about 2 years that I was able to work when I could and not if I couldn't. So I was very fortunate to still be able to do that. I've kind of gotten a little bit worse, so I decided that it would be in my best interest to go ahead and quit. It's been different, worked my whole life, and to just kind of take care of me all day long is a bit different. I asked God to speak through my mouth because I know I was put on this earth to help people my whole life. And that's what I do. The day that I was told that I had to step down from my position, I was leaving for St. Augustine for my birthday. I go to St. Augustine. I was angry the whole week, even though it was wonderful. The last day, and I kept saying, I just want to talk to somebody that has what I have. The very last day, I begged my guy to stop at the farmer's market because I didn't want to leave. I knew when I went home, I would have to go to the sales job, and I didn't want to do that yet. So I was stalling as much as possible, and we're walking around this farmer's market, and I'm just kicking rocks and stuff, just kind of, and I hear this woman say something, and I just blew her off. And the next thing I hear her say was pulmonary hypertension. And I whipped my head around and I said, "Excuse me, what did you just say?" She said, "You have pulmonary hypertension, don't you?" And I said, "Who are you? Yeah, what? Yes. Do you?" And she says, "Yes. It took me 7 years to get diagnosed." So it was so crazy. We sat and talked for probably 2 hours. I'm dumbfounded every time I speak with people about how long it's taken for them to be diagnosed. One of my support group girls, her brother passed away this past year, and they said it was from pulmonary hypertension, but he wasn't diagnosed. And so it's now like my passion to educate, because so many people are being misdiagnosed or taken forever to get their diagnosis, and they're getting worse and worse and could potentially die, and it's not right. I'm dumbfounded. And I get it that it's a rare disease, but we've got to educate people so people will quit dying. It's horrible. So my dream is to travel the country. I love rocks. They are just fascinating on how they're made. I mean, they're made with heat and pressure and time. Just with a small change in a mineral, it could make the craziest rock. It's amazing that the earth makes that kind of beauty through pressure, heat, and time. It just blows my mind. We've been to Oregon and South Carolina. We've been in a lot of different places to dig for rocks. And I'm going to do this one day. It's going to be called Digging for Change. I'm going to travel around the country, and my guy and I are going to dig for rocks, gemstones, minerals, and we're going to educate the United States on pulmonary hypertension and just travel around the country digging and educating, because it's imperative that people know so people can live and have a better quality of life. It has to be. It has to be. My name is Terri Keplinger, and I'm aware that I'm rare.